Alright, let's start out by saying Barakatay Hawa, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Kakodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is The Chronicles of E. And pretty much what you see in front of you is a depiction, according to the scriptures, of Esau, which is the progenitor of the so-called white race today. Because they are not white, they're red. And Esau was a red man. His name was changed to Edom, which Edom comes from the Hebrew word Adawam, which means red. I don't really have anything set, I just have a couple of web pages that I pulled up. I wanted to go into this lesson yesterday, but like I said, they were working, on my apartment, so there's like some shit going on, so they had to fix some stuff. I mean, it still ain't done, so just waiting for them to get here, probably about another 3 hours or so. So I want to try to get this lesson out before they got here. So like I said, pretty much I don't have anything set up or etched in stone, but I have a couple of websites I want to go through, and this could probably turn out to be a series, The Chronicles of E. Everybody knows who E is, as you can see on your screen. Esau, which his name was changed to Edom, and he is the progenitor of the so-called white race, which are the Edomites today. Well, I guess we'll just start off here. This is from livius.org. Edomites, it says Edom, Iron Age kingdom, directly south of the Dead Sea, situated in modern Jordan and Israel. In Greek, it is called Idumea, and this is one of the names they use in the scriptures from the Greek, and they left it that way, in case somebody woke up, of who Edom is, and they come across Idumea, they wouldn't know what that was. But all you have to do, as we've been saying, is just go into the original language that the scriptures were written in, and you will find out very easily who Idumea is, which is nothing more than a Greek rendition, also a Latin rendition of the name Edomite or Edom. So it says Bronze Age. The word Edom means red, and they're absolutely correct. Now the word Edom comes from the Hebrew word Adawam, which means red. Now you have another Hebrew word which sounds similar to it, which is Adama, which is Adam's name, which means ground. It's not the same as Edom. They're two separate words, although they sound similar or they spelled similar. And they try to link it together to say that Adam and the Edomites were so-called white people back then, which they weren't, because the name Adam means ground. And even when you look up the word ground in the Hebrew, it has the name Adam with a ha at the end, which usually when you have a ha at the end of a word, it makes the word feminine, but not in all cases. So Adama with a ha at the end would be ground, and Adam is the name that the Most High gave to Adam and the Edomites, which means ground. It's a different word from Edom, although they sound similar, they spelled similar. They are two separate words. So it says the word Edom means red, and is probably a reference to the color of the Seir mountain east of the Wadi al-Araba. Now see how they just throw this in there. They said it's probably in reference to the Seir mountains east of the Wadi al-Araba, which are red, and that has nothing to do with that. And you have people that are deemed scholars that go to school, go to college, and pay all this money to get these degrees, and they're supposed to be studied in the scriptures. So something like this, they should know where it comes from. There shouldn't be no probably or perhaps or most likely. You know, they say that the name Edom, meaning red, is a reference to the color probably a reference to the color of the Seir Mountains, and that's not true. And just by going to the scriptures, which is the authoritative book that they claim to be scholars from, it says Genesis 25:29, and Jacob sowed pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom. So we read in the scriptures that the reason why he was called Edom or red was because of that red pottage that he ate. So it had nothing to do with the reference to the mountains. But this is what happens, when the Spirit of the Lord ain't dealing with you, and this could also be a form of deception for the people that don't know, to throw them off the trail. You could look at it both ways. That the name was already used for a recognizable political unit in the Bronze Age can be deduced from Egyptian texts. A document that has been quoted to prove this is the 14th century Amarna letter number 256, which indeed refers to an Udumu. The identification with Edom, however, is almost certainly incorrect. The town of Udumu appears to have been east of Lake Galilee, which, if you know anything about Galilee, Galilee is up in the north, around the area where Yahushua began his ministry. And Edom is way down here in the south. There is less doubt about the reference to the Sasu nomads from Edom, who during the reign of Merimta, 1213 to 1203, that's BC, were allowed to enter the kingdom of the Nile. These nomads are mentioned in several other texts which do not specifically connect them to Edom. And nomads are pretty much wanderers. And this is the spirit that the Lord has in the Edomites today. And when the Spirit of the Lord is working with you, you have that spiritual eye salve to be able to understand scriptures. You know that spiritually, the serpent who was an actual man, the spirit that was in him, passed through unto Cain. And now Cain, when he murdered Abel, it said he went to the land of Nod. Now the land of Nod is where you get the word Nawad from, which the word Nawad means wanderer or to wander. So pretty much he just wandered to the east. And this is the spirit of Esau. They are wanderers, nomads. And this is the same spirit that was in Cain, the same spirit that was in Esau. And, because people say, well, how can you say that the Edomites are descendants of Cain when the people of Cain and their descendants died during the flood? Well, it's easy, because the spirit that was in them came back through the Edomites. Because the spirit never dies. The Most High is a father of spirits. When the body dies, the body goes into the earth, and the spirit goes back up into the heavens. So those spirits never die. And the Most High creates the right hand side, and he creates the left hand side. So he creates good, righteousness, and he creates evil, wickedness. And there's a people on the planet Earth that represent the wicked, and these are the Edomites. And they have those same attributes that the ancient Cainites, not Canaanites, Cainites, meaning descendants of Cain, that were destroyed during the flood. That same spirit that was in them, that same wicked spirit, is the same spirit that is in Esau. And if the spirit is working with you, it'd be easy to get. So let's see where we at. There is less doubt. These nomads. Okay, so we read that. Nevertheless, the Sasu from Edom are interesting, because they not only illustrate that in the late Bronze Age there were nomadic Edomites, but also that there was nomadic exchange from the eastern to the western Sinai desert. Yeah, because you got to remember, I don't know if you can see this picture that well. All right, here we go. You have Edom here. Matter of fact, let me get a picture of the Middle East, so-called Middle East. Middle East map. Images. Trying to get a good one. This ain't too bad, but trying to see if I can get a better one. Let's see right here. What's this? Alright, this is decent here. So you have here Jordan. You have Israel on this side, and down in this region, right around there, where Jordan is, around there, and somewhere in that region here, can't really see it that well, you have the land of Edom. And the land of Edom stretched all the way in the south, you know, and you have Egypt here, you know, and this was a trade route, you know, going through there, you know, through this Fertile Crescent. This is why Abraham, his father, his brothers, they journeyed what was called the so-called Fertile Crescent, which was bountifulness of mineral resources, you know, vegetation and all that, and that was a actual route that you could travel, and there were certain places where you could sell your wares, you know. So these were trade routes, you know. So the Egyptians were trading with Esau, you know. So you have to know, you know, that. So it says, and they have records outside of the scriptures that prove that, you know. Let's see, where are we at? All right, it says the stories about Moses and the wandering Hebrews are situated against this background. It was only in the 9th and 8th centuries that the Edomites became partly sedentary. You know, you had also when the Lord delivered Israel out of the land of Egypt, and they were being led by Moses, there were times where Esau wouldn't let Jake pass through their land to get to where they had to go. You know, and many of those nations did the same thing because they were afraid of what the Most High did going back when he delivered us out of the land of Egypt. So they thought that the Most High would just totally destroy them. And they were afraid, you know, so they didn't want nothing to do with Israel. They wanted Israel far away from them as possible. All right, it says Iron Age Edom. The Bible tells that King Saul waged war against the Edomites and that David gained supremacy over the Edomites. And this is true. You know, this is true. It says a pro-Egyptian insurrection against David's son and successor Solomon is also recorded, and that was Hadad. But it says that the Lord stirred up this adversary. Let's go there real quick, just to let you know that the Most High causes these things to happen. Let's see, please. I know this is in the book of Proverbs. Proverbs 16:7. When a man's ways please the Lord, he maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him. But if the enemy stirred up, that's the Lord stirring them up. It could be either to reprove, to punish, or to test, you know, an individual, depending on the severity. But this is our 1 Kings 11. And like I said, you know, Salaki brothers, this is not anything structured, so I know it's going to be all over the place. But hey, whatever the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Shai feeds me, I'll feed you, brothers. All right, this is First Kings. I don't know why I keep saying Corinthians. 11 and 14. See, it says here, and the Lord, all in caps, and Yahweh stirred up an adversary unto Solomon. So the Most High did this. So when you had the Egyptians come against Israel, when you had the Assyrians come against Israel, when you had the Babylonians come against Israel, so on and so forth, that was the Lord stirring up the enemy against us, you know. And pretty much it was all to teach us all a lesson. You know, it was a hard lesson, but nevertheless it was a lesson that is well learned, you know. I mean, because we have a total perfect understanding of, you know, the penalties for going off, You know, we have a rich history of being in subjection under all these different nations. And every last nation on the planet Earth, I don't care what they call themselves, they've had us in subjection at one point or another in time, and they will all be subject unto us, you know. So it says, Hadad the Edomite, he was a king's seed in Edom. So this Edomite, Hadad, the Lord stirred him up against King Solomon, and this was after King Solomon started worshiping the different idols of the other nations, following behind his women. For it came to pass when David was in Edom, and Joab, the captain of the host, was gone to up to bury the slain, after he had smitten every male in Edom. So at this time, when King David and Joab went into the land of Edom, they killed every last Edomite male that was in the land of Edom. But you had Edomites that weren't dwelling there. Everybody thinks that the Edomites all just magically lived in the land of Edom, that they never left out of there. So if that's the case, where did Hadad come from? Where did the Herods come from? Where did Antipater come from? Where did all these different Edomites come from? You see? Because they didn't just stay in one region. Remember, they're nomads. That's the spirit that was in Cain. You know, so they traveled different places. They conquered different things. You know, they were trading with the Egyptians before we even came out of the land of Egypt. All right, let's go back. It says, for 6 months did Joab remain there with all Israel until he had cut off every male in Edom. So that was 6 months of brutal slaughter of the Edomites. And that wasn't the first time. And this is why these devils have that resentment, because they've got the records. And in their spirit, they know. You know, like you could have two individuals that never met each other, but something about, you know, the spirit that's in each one of them, they have like this hatred for each other, you know, and you don't understand why, but it goes deeper than that, because reincarnation, you know, something in their spirit, when they met each other, there's like something was like, nah, this dude ain't right, you know, this is an enemy. So this is what's been going on for the longest, and Esau has the records, and they don't have the remembrance, but their spirit they know. And this is why there's so much strife stirred up between Jacob, the Israelites, and Esau. You know, that's why you see, you know, it's much deeper. Like with the situation out there in Jersey, it's much deeper than just them Amalekites trying to harass Jake, you know, for their properties, so that they can move in there cheaply. It goes far beyond that. It goes back to that old hatred that was in Jacob and Esau from their mother's womb, Rebecca. You know? So this is why, you know, spiritually we look at things according to the scriptures, because Esau they're not a spiritual people. They are a carnal people. So everything that they see has to have a logical explanation to it. See, we are a spiritual people, so we look at things spiritually, and we understand why things happen the way they do, because it goes back to what is written in the scriptures. So this old hatred goes way back, and this is why King David and Joab took out all the males of Edom, and Israel was there with them. It says that Hadad fled, he and certain Edomites of his father's servants with him, to go into Egypt, Hadad being yet a little child. And why did they go into Egypt? Because they were having trades with the Egyptians going way back. You know, before even Israel was established as a nation, you know, in the land of Israel, which was known as the land of Canaan. All right, so now let's go back, see what else we could get out of this. But from the biblical remark that Solomon could send out ships to a country named Ophir, we may deduce that he regained control, because there was an actual port. It was in the Gulf of Aqaba, which is known as Ezion Geber. And Ezion Geber, well, here we go. This is good. Ezion Geber, you see here, Sinai. This is the the two gulfs at the top of the Red Sea. This is the Gulf of Suez where we crossed, and this is the Gulf of Aqaba. Now, in the northern part of the Gulf of Aqaba, you have a place called Ezion Geber, and this land here was fought back and forth between Esau and Judah, because Esau and Judah are north of here. You have the land of Edom, and then the land of Judah, when you read the scriptures, bordered the land of Esau. So this was a strategic spot to have, because when Solomon had it, they said he had a navy here, you know. So this was an actual strategic spot that was always fought between the Edomites and the Israelites. All right, and as a matter of fact, here goes another good one. See Edom here, and this is Judah over here. You know, and then this was where they would enter in, and this was good, you know, a good trade route, you know. All right, so let's go back. It says, it is only during the reign of Jehoram, 848 to 842, that Edom is mentioned as autonomous, but the kings of Judah did not accept its independence. And pretty much there was a I remember Elder Pastor saying a few years back that during the time of the wars that took place in Rome between Jake and the Romans, I forget the name of the actual wars, but you had Edomites that was fighting side by side with Israel, you know, to fighting against the Romans, you know. So it was Edomites fighting against Edomites. Well, they were fighting side by side with Jake. And then when you read this history here, you had a situation with, I believe his name was Jehoram, which was the son of Ahab. And then you had King Jehoshaphat, which was the king of Judah, which was allied to Ahab before Ahab got killed. He also aligned himself with Jehoram, the son of Ahab, and the Moabites did something to Jehoram to where he wanted to go to war with them. So he came to Jehoshaphat to make a league with him to go and fight against the Moabites, and also the king of Edom at the time and his men, they joined this battle. So it was the kingdom of Judah, the kingdom of Israel, and the kingdom of Edom fighting against these Moabites. So there were certain times in history where Esau did link up with Jake, but there was a lot of times where they did the opposite, you know, as is the case with when the Babylonians came into Jerusalem and sacked Jerusalem and besieged Jerusalem. All right, it says, for instance, King Amaziah, 796 to 782, attacked and defeated the Edomites, who appeared to have been defeated by the Moabites as well. Nevertheless, relations between Edom and Judah could also be cordial. The genealogies included in Genesis suggest the authors of this part of the Bible believed that the Edomites and Israelites were closer related than the Israelites and the Ammonites or Moabites, and they are. So, you know, this is why, you know, you get mad, because either two things: either Esau's playing stupid on purpose, or they just that retarded. If Jacob and Esau were twin brothers, how could they not be closer than Israel is to the Ammonites and Moabites when the Ammonites and Moabites came out of Lot, which was way, you know, back in the past. So either they mind fuck people, excuse my language, on purpose, or they're just that retarded to where they can't keep up with their own bullshit. You know, I'm just trying to get to some of the juicy parts. Like I said, I read through this yesterday, and I couldn't really go live. So, oh, here we go. This is some good stuff here. In the 8th century, the Assyrians appeared on the scene. Adal Nirari III received tribute in royal text by Tiglath-Pileser III and Sennacherib. We encounter the names of Edomite rulers with names such as Quas Malak, which is the god Quas is king, which this was the god of the Edomites. And when you type in Quas, right? Did I spell that right? Quas. Let's see. Okay. Unless they took this down, because we used to go to this and it showed you Quas. And it showed you, it looked like them so-called Jews. It looked like them Amalekites. But now all of a sudden you type in Quas. Oh, you know why? Yeah, that's with a Q, yeah. Used to type, oh, here we go. That's one. Had that big honker, that big schnoz, like Amalek. And then there was one picture that they had that looked like Barry Manilow, which would see Edomite Piper. And you could see, let me see if I get a bigger picture of that. See, you could see he got that big honker, like them Amalekites, you know. And it says what? Edomite Piper, encroaching on Judah. See. So these devils, they know who they are. Look at that schnoz, man. And when you put in these so-called Jews, right? Try to see if we can get some side. Look at this. Look at that schnoz, man. Look at those schnozzes. The schnoz never lies, man. Look at that big ass sausage, man. You know? And this is why these devils get so upset and so mad. You know, because the truth is out. Look at that. Look at these schnozzes, man. And look at this is a Edomite Piper. See that? This is a Quas. Look. You know, and then you have, as a elder Positar said, which is funny as hell. I'm gonna type in Barry Manilow so you can see new light on the Edomites. Oh Lord. Let me see. Look at that. Look at that schnoz, man. Look at that. But they try to blame it on you know. Look at that. Look at that. Look, come on, man. Come on. These are gods that they made. And these are the same guys that Amaziah, after he destroyed the Edomites by throwing them off the cliff, he went and worshipped. But look at that, man. Let me just pull that up just in case. Oh Lord, look at that. There you go. Now let's type in Barry Manilow. Look at that. Look at that schnoz, man. Tell me that don't look like Quas. Look at that's Quas, man. Look. Trying to see if I. Yeah, look, this devil look like hell, man. This guy is probably about 100 years old. Look at this. Look at the fucking skin on this guy's face, man. Look at this fucking hair. Like, we're supposed to believe you this goddamn old. You ain't got a lick of gray. This world is vain. Look at this motherfucker right here. Salaki, man. Look at that schnoz, man. Look. These are Edomite gods, man. Edomite. These are gods of the Edomites. Look at that. Quas. So you could understand. Let's check out the Edomite Piper. Where did the Edomite Piper go? Oh man, don't tell me I lost that. Damn, sure did. Oh no. What I gotta do is go here. Bam. That's the schnoz, brothers. You know? So it says Quasmalak, because this dude, you had Edomite kings. The god Quas is king, and Hiram, Esarhaddon, and Ashurbanipal were the overlords of King Quas Gabar. Quas is mighty. A seal of the latter has been excavated at el Biyara in Jordan. East. Just trying to see if I can get any more goodies out of here. Right, it says, it seems that during the Babylonian captivity of the Jews, which is traditionally dated to 587-539, the Edomites looted Judah and settled in the northern Negev. And this is why you had certain lands that were fought back and forth between Judah and Esau, because they bordered their countries bordered each other. You know, it says maybe as a retaliation, Edom was invaded by the Babylonian king Nabonidus in 553. He even proceeded further to the south to the Arab town Taima and beyond, eventually reaching Latribu. The situation remained unquiet after the Persian had taken power. The Arab tribe of the Nabateans invaded Edom and seized power, and they know that the Nabateans are so-called Arabs or Ishmaelites, and they know that they're the ones that took over the land of Edom. And this is why today you have these so-called scholars that say that the Arab people are the Edomites, because the people that are living today there are Ishmaelites. But no, they are Ishmaelites. But see, this is the mindfuckery of Esau. On the one hand, they tell you that the Arabs are Ishmaelites, but then on the other hand, they tell you that they're Edomites. There's two different nationalities. It's impossible for you to be two different nationalities. You know? So, I mean, we read about how the Lord raised up an adversary, Hadad the Edomite, against King Solomon. Now, what I did was I typed in Edom, you know, in the search engine, and a whole bunch of scriptures came up. Let's go to Amos 1:9. Thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Tyrus, and for 4 I will not turn away the punishment thereof. Verse 11. Thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4 I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he did pursue his brother with the sword, and did cast off all pity, and his anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever. See? So the Lord is not going to forgive Esau for what they did, and the Edomites for what they did. Let's go from there real quick to the book of Psalms 137 and 7. It says, remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, race it, even to the foundation thereof. And this is when the Babylonians came and destroyed the temple. You know, and they were right there with him, as if they was down with him. When we read the book of Obadiah, we read about the same thing. O daughter of Babylon. So the Most High is comparing the Edomites to the daughter. They are the daughter of Babylon. Because it's not Babylon itself, but it's the daughter. They're the daughter of Babylon. And then this would later tie in history today with America being Babylon the Great, and Esau, or the Edomites, being the rulers or the last rulers on the planet. It says, O daughter of Babylon, who art to be destroyed, happy shall it be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served us. Happy shall it be that taketh and dasheth thy little ones against the stones, because there will be retaliation. When the kingdom is established, the Lord is going to give us the power over our enemies to take them down. And when we go, so there's a vast history of all of this. But Esau doesn't want to deal with that history. You know, that's why if you go online and you type in Esau or Edom, they won't give you too much. But over the years, the Spirit has given us the whole picture, and even gave us pictures of the gods of Esau that are still around. And you could see they got the same schnoz. You know, they got them honkers, man. They known for them honkers. There was one who just had, where are they? Right here. Look at this dude. Look at that. You cannot tell me that's not the God that he worshiped, because they're gonna make the gods that they worship look like them. All right, so let's go back. It's Obadiah 1:10. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. So Esau is going to be cut off forever. They're the only nation, as we read in the Bible dictionary, they were not promised any form of mercy from the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, because they didn't show any mercy. And what do the scriptures say about that? Let's go real quick to the book of James, chapter 2 and verse 13. It says, for he shall have judgment without mercy that hath showed no mercy, and mercy rejoiceth against judgment. So they didn't show any mercy. They cast off all mercy. So it says back in Obadiah 1:11, in the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that strangers carried away captive his forces, and foreigners entered into his gates and cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou was as one of them. So you were as one of them. You were took the side of the Babylonians against us, and you were supposed to be our brother, but you chose your side. You know, it says, but thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother, and the day that he became a stranger, because we did become strangers. The Israelites became strangers. We were ripped out of our land. We were everything was stripped from us. You know, and eventually, in process of time, after we fell so many times, even our nationality, language, and everything was stripped from us. Neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction. Neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress. Thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of thy people in the day of their calamity. Yea, thou shouldest not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity. Neither shouldest thou have stood in the crossway to cut off those of his that did escape. Neither shouldest thou have delivered up those of his that did remain in the day of distress. For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head. So whatever Esau did, that's what they got they have to look forward to receiving. Because unto this very day, here it is, we're in January of 2020, and these devils have not paid for any of the crimes that they committed against the children of Israel. You know? It says, for as you have drunk upon my holy mountain, so shall all the heathen drink continually. Yea, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been. So you're going to go into captivity, and when you go into captivity, you're going to be a nobody. Just like we became nobodies, you're going to become a nobody. You know, and that's true justice. That's true judgment. It says, but upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possession. So only people that's going to receive salvation in the kingdom of heaven is the nation of Israel. All nations are going to be in captivity, and even after the 1,000 years is up, then these nations will have, you know, freedom among themselves, but they will still be tributary to us, because they were created to be our slaves from the beginning. The only ones that won't be around are the Edomites, because they will be totally burnt up and annihilated after they serve their sentence. Because what people have to realize, you know, and this is talking about all nations, is that the Most High created these devils to show the world what wickedness is, and to show the reward for being wicked. The destruction, the taking of their kingdom, the destruction of their kingdom, them having to go into captivity to pay for the crimes committed, you know, against us and even other nations, and eventually being totally annihilated and wiped out. Because the Lord said he created all things, yea, he created even the wicked for the day of wrath. So they were created as a people to be destroyed. The Lord used them to bring forth wickedness on the earth, and he's also going to destroy them from off the face of the earth. It says, and the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame. So this is the southern and the northern kingdom coming together as a fire. It says, and the house of Esau for stubble. Why? Because the house of Esau, the Edomites, will be stubble. They will be burnt up. And they shall kindle in them and devour them. And there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord hath spoken it. So there's not going to be one Edomite left after they serve their slavery. They will be destroyed. Yep, that's a good scripture, brother. The brother Yawasap, Hebrews 12:16, lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright. Yeah, and they won't be able to get their birthright back because they sold it. So that's pretty much it on that. Let's see what else we got here. You know what? I'm probably ended there, and Lord's will, maybe I'll go through this, see what I can get out of it. You know, instead of having to do all that reading, just try to get some good points out of here, and then maybe I'll just do a part 2 to this, Lord's will. So with that, you know, I pray that your brothers have been edified. Until the next time, I say shalom. Nobodies, you're going to become a nobody. You know, and that's true justice. That's true judgment. It says, but upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possession. So only people that's going to receive salvation in the kingdom of heaven is the nation of Israel. All nations